On this week's episode, Alan and I are recapping the 2025 Autumn Oaks, including some interviews with some of the big winners of the weekend. You'll want to hang tight for this one.
You're listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast, celebrating hunting dog heritage, competition, and community. United Kennel Club has been the hunting dog sports home for coonhounds, beagles, retrievers, pointers, cur, feist, and more for over 125 years.
Welcome back to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast. This is Trevor Wade. I'm the Coonhound Program Manager at UKC, and I'm joined today by the Director of Hunting Ops, Alan Gingrich. What's going on today, Alan?
Oh, man, Trevor, you missed out on unloading the U-Haul with all the Autumn Oak stuff. I can't believe how much stuff we take to that event, but we leave a lot of it there, or some of it stays there, but there's still a lot came back. So, yeah, Tuesday at the office, a regular Tuesday after Oaks, unloaded everything, and it's a lot going on. A lot of hustle and bustle on the Tuesday after Oaks. So that's what we've been working on today.
Busy week last week, and then you get that holiday yesterday is a little bit of a lifesaver, but then you got all the catch up, and then I know you have the McVeigh Memorial this weekend, and I got to get out packets to our zone for our zones here in another couple weeks, so weekend after next. So there's no rest for us really until after this stretch.
Yeah, I know. Yesterday on Memorial Day, floated down the river, the Pigeon River, for about 4 miles, and man, that was just so relaxing and out there, and just kind of reminiscing about the week-long thing. But man, what a week! Weather was so good, just another good Autumn Oaks.
Yeah, probably the first year where we can't really complain about rain or hot temperatures or anything. I know it was a little bit dry. Could have used a little bit of water to maybe improve tracking conditions at some points, but man, the nights. I know last year I was sitting there feeling sorry for some of the hunters to have to go cut loose in the heat, and this week I was kind of jealous when we would go to dinner or be sitting around at the fairgrounds of the hunters all pulling out and getting to go hunt.
Yeah, 9 o'clock, it's in the mid 60s already, and dropping. And every morning was actually cool when you got up. It was cool in the mornings. I don't know what the temperatures were, but I'm going to say upper 40s, maybe lower 50s. If it was cool.
Yeah, so we're going to recap the whole event. I think about the best way to tackle it is probably just go day by day, go through the whole week, and if we left anything at the end, we'll just cover it then. But we'll start out early in the week. Gates open on Sunday, and talk to a lot of people who were there already on Friday, Saturday, camped across the road. It seemed like this year there's just a lot of campers everywhere.
Yeah, that's right. Somebody told me there were people there on Thursday already wanting to be the first ones in.
And then you ended up getting there, Monday mid-afternoon, mid-morning?
Yeah, about 10 o'clock. And when I got there, they had 92 campers recorded already on their list that were there at 10 o'clock on Monday morning.
Holy smokes, yeah.
Yeah, and you could tell every year. I can kind of tell what it looks like, and I thought it looked like more, and it wasn't that many more, but like 20 more, and you could kind of tell. You know what I love about Autumn Oaks at first? You get to go down there the first week, and you kind of start with a clean slate of the fairgrounds, and people start rolling in. You mark off vendor spaces, and there's a place for everything, a place for the vendors, a place for the participants, the show folks, and it's just a lot of different things. And then when it starts taking shape, those things all start filling in. The vendors come in, and people start showing up, dogs start showing up. Then it's like 3 days of getting ready for the next 3 days of Autumn Oaks.
Right. Yeah.
Pretty cool to watch it just all build up and come together.
So as far as competitive stuff, Monday is kind of like you said, just getting ready for everything. I know you got to enjoy some camaraderie. People have a nice dinner and play some music and stuff and just enjoy it. And that's kind of some of the stuff that we sometimes miss out on just due to the hustle and bustle, or those evenings out there that people are getting to enjoy each other's company and fellowship and things.
I love that. That's something we don't get to do enough of, and everybody's just kind of busy. But being down there the whole week, it allows me. I try to do those first couple of days. Try to do that. Just the evenings, go out on the campgrounds and go around. And I've kind of in the last 3-4 years, I've kind of hung out with Harvey Killen and Billy Killen and their group, Sean Van Hoos, I think it is, and Pooch Christian there and kind of their camp. And this year, Tall Tales and Ringtails, Philip Baldwin and his crew, Ashley Dalton and some of them, they set up a nice deal there with a bunch of their friends, just made a big circle there around with their campers, and everybody kind of gathered in the middle there. And that one night, I think it was Tuesday night, they had Duke Prue from up in Connecticut. His mom and dad are always there, have came to Autumn Oaks for years and years. But they brought lobster up, like 98 pounds of it. And didn't think I was really a lobster guy. I like king crab and things like that, but man, it was so good. They had steaks and lobster. And I thought, well, okay, if I don't care for the steaks, or the lobster, I'll eat some steak. I couldn't get enough of that lobster. That was a real deal right off the boat, and that they brought down from the Northeast. And oh man, I don't know who's paying for that. But they had a lot of it, and just a lot of friends there. But it's just those type of things that happen at Autumn Oaks, and it's good to go around and hang out with folks, talk to folks, and yeah, I love being able to do that the first 2-3 nights of the event of the week.
Well, I had Arby's Monday night in Michigan in my hotel room, so I guess it's kind of comparable.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? We just got to get you there too earlier. It's worth it, there's not that much there's a lot to do, I guess, but we as UKC should do more of that. Just go hang out with the people like that, it's just we get so busy during, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and we just need to do more. Just go earlier and do that stuff.
Yeah, like you said, the things kind of start kicking off Tuesday with our first warm-up slam, and we got to give Bad Habit a big shout-out here. They're our, for the second year in a row, our presenting sponsor of our Autumn Oaks Slam Series. Donate $500 each of the 3 warm-up nights, and then $500 to our overall Slam Series winner. And that first night, Hannah's Creek Conservation Club there, Liberty, Indiana, a great place for a coon hunt. Jamie Estep was our master of hounds on site, and they ended up having 95 entries, which is just me looking through here. I think that's the second most we've had on a Tuesday night there at Hannah's Creek. And man, a great hunt. I think they had just a couple dead casts, and they ended up the final 4 split almost $500 each. And I'm looking at the final 4 picture here. I got an elaborate setup today. I don't have my good backdrop just because I have so much information and tried to compile it so quickly here so we can get it turned around. But I see Dual Murphy here with Black Road Jack, owned by Barry Kitty. I know Ike Randy's bought the dog since. Wild Dream and Echo, owned and handled here by Logan Rose, and he has Mitchell Baker and Todd Rose on here. Which is Black Swamp, owned and handled by Randy Gadd, and Randy Lawson's a co-owner on that dog. And then a dog that actually snuck into our Grand 16 on Saturday night, Davis's Rosedale Frogger Jr., owned by Gregory Ellswick and Frank Dixon, and handled by Ricky Osborne here. That was our final 4 on Tuesday night. A pretty decorated group of handlers there, and just a good hunt overall.
Yep. There's always a lot of dogs that show up, good dogs that show up at Autumn Oaks, but one of the good young ones, watch for that Frogger Jr. dog. He's made his name known here in this last year, and he's just turned 2, I think, now, but he was the youngest dog in the Grand 16, but I'm kind of watching that dog a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. And we continued on Wednesday night. Wednesday, we had a couple different hunts going on. First, our warm-up slam shifted to Delaware County coon hunters there in Selma, Indiana, with their club putting it on and doing another awesome job. 122 entries that night, Wednesday night, which was a great entry. Our final 4 split, according to our field rep Jamie, $431 each. And I'm looking at them again here. We got Kickstart My Heart, handled by Logan Douglas, owned by Roger Shable. Another one, I think Ike Randy owns that dog now, but just hasn't transferred the papers over. El Diablo, Wyatt Monin, owner and handler. It Ain't Easy Being Breezy, Kyle Klein, owner and handler, with Cody Summerfield as a co-owner. And then Art Mojo's Rodeo Outlaw, owned by Christian and Sarah Freck. And don't want to be a spoiler, but we'll talk about that dog again here just in a minute. And then, and also on Wednesday night was kind of a fun deal. And we've kind of started doing these pro slams in conjunction with some of our major events. And hey, it's brought in some people who I think may not typically be there, and brought some eyes to it who may not typically pay attention to it during the week for sure. And Wednesday night, we did our Lindell Price Autumn Oaks Pro Slam, and it was a $500 entry fee, 16 dog entry hunt. And And Nate, before I go any further, you may talk on the decision to put Lindell Price on there and honor him with this prestigious hunt we put on.
Yeah, we didn't really have a name for the slam here other than Autumn Oak Slam 1 or Slam 2 or whatever. We kind of tossed around the idea, hey, how about we kind of pay tribute to a dog, or, in this case, we just ultimately decided to do a dog one night and an individual another. Somebody that, I don't know, somebody that has been I don't know if you want to call it an inspiration. It just has done a
Super
lot for,
influential for sure.
influential in the sport, and it, I would like it to be somebody that could be there, and as it turned out, we chose Lindell Price. For me, he's just kind of at the top of my list. He's at the top of a lot of my list. He's not just a good man. He's done a lot for the sport. And I don't know. I just always had a lot of respect for Lindell, and he's not been in very good health. And I thought, man, this is the year. We just need to get his name. He's done a lot of firsts for UKC. As far as the Winter Classic shows, he was the first judge there. Just did a lot of things for UKC first. The Bicentennial back, I think, in maybe 1997. He was very influential in that event. I think he judged the show there. But one of the things that I always admired about Lindell as a person, and I've said it a lot of times, and that is how he would address the judges, the non-hunting judges at like the World Hunt. And we had the World Hunt at my club several times, or there were other places close by where I helped judge. And usually UKC would have one of the reps would always address them, as they always did, but just the way Lindell did that, I used to think, man, I just like the way he addressed them. Just his demeanor. He was calm, collected, wanted his judges to stay like that, but be firm and fair. And I always thought, when I came to UKC, is hopefully I want to take some of the things that Lindell, I can't be him, but try to kind of address the judges in the same manner. And so he was really an influence on me, and I was glad we could do it. Unfortunately, he could not be there, but on that Wednesday night for the Pro Slam. But I know he appreciated it. I know his wife Connie sent word that they really appreciated the tribute, and I'm sure he did as well. And I'm sure he wished he could have been there. But Lindell Price, definitely a good guy to have on there. And then the next day for the dog was Mr. Clean, two-time national champion, won Autumn Oaks twice, won the UKC World Championship. I don't know, just a dog that I remember him in the final cast of the World Hunt, where he is still the only dog to score over 1,000 points in a final cast of the World Championship, and did so, just kind of cruised in the last hour of that hunt. And still to do that, just an outstanding dog in his time and a winner. And so that's who we chose for the dog on Thursday to pay tribute to, Mr. Clean.
Yeah, two very deserving, and try to give them both their flowers with some of the stuff we did. I know you had a really good opening remarks right before we drew casts out on Wednesday night about Lindell. So super cool thing to honor somebody who's done so much for the Registry of United Kennel Club and for coon hunting altogether, competition coon hunting in particular. So I actually got to hang around Wednesday night. I was the hunt director for this Pro Slam here, and when the dust settled, our $3,000 first place winner was Grand Night champion I'm Over You, a Walker female owned by Davin York and Kurt Ehring out of Missouri. Second place, taking home $1,750, was our world champion last year, Little Lacey, Tree and Walker female owned by Jack Maggart of Kentucky and handled by Casey Maggart. Third place, getting $1,250, was night champion Mojo's Maggie Shine, Tree and Walker female owned by Jimmy Wills and handled by Kenny Hunt. And then fourth place, $1,000 Schooner River Tiny, Grand Night champion Walker female owned by Jack Maggart again, handled by Eric Pyatt, coming off a Bandit Bash first place win in the Pro Slam just a couple weeks ago. So that team's on a little bit of a tear. But also want to give a quick shout out to Daryl Workman, who got it and judged that final cast. I know on a Wednesday night, he's a local, probably got to deal with stuff at home too there. So appreciate him taking time out of his night, and I know they had a late night, so I really appreciate him stepping up to the plate and helping us out with that for the Lindell Price Pro Slam there on Wednesday night. Thursday night, like you mentioned, we switched gears and did our Mr. Clean Automokes Pro Slam, and that was $1,000 16-dog entry. And like you said, Mr. Clean's resume speaks for itself, and it was kind of cool some of the stuff we did, Brian there, and it was super cool. A dog that will always be one of the first ones that come to my mind when I think about competition coon hunting, with all the things that he accomplished in his life. Doug Cundiff, who was doing the National Dual Championship Master Hounds there on the grounds, was also our hunt director for the Pro Slam. And when the dust settled, it was Heather Island 10 Cup, a Tree and Walker owned by Morris Birch McElveen, and they're from South Carolina. I know Mr. Morris is, and handled by Michael Ward from Alabama. They took home the top honor and $7,500. Second place, winning $3,750, was again Granddaddy champion Schooner River Tiny, that Tree and Walker female owned by Jack Maggard and handled by Eric Pyatt. Third place, taking home $2,250, was Granddaddy champion Maxed Out Dow Jones, Tree and Walker male owned by Josh Jones and Jonathan Moses out of Tennessee, handled by Jonathan. And then fourth place on Thursday night's Pro Slam and taking home $1,500, was Granddaddy champion Rack 'em Up Hype, Tree and Walker female owned by Justin Cooper and Tyler Gilkey out of Missouri and handled by Justin. And it's incredible. I know you'll hear people say, man, money ruins the sport, and they dread this and being on the cast and guiding them and judging them. Man, we didn't have a single issue either night. Trace Searles and Clayton Alford took this final cast on this night, so I appreciate them helping Doug out late on Thursday night when some of the other folks we had backed out or didn't show up or whatever. So I appreciate them taking the cast of the woods. And man, just not an off word either night from either of these two Pro Slams, with a lot of money on the line. $22,000 passed out over the two nights, I believe it is. So.
Yeah, a couple things for me there, Trevor. One is Eric Pyatt. He was in the top four both nights with that tiny dog. But Eric Pyatt is another. He's been doing this for a long time. I don't know how old he is, but I'm going to say he's probably about my age, maybe a little older, maybe a little younger, somewhere in there. But he's been struggling with some health issues. But he's a guy that he doesn't hunt that much UKC. But, he's been in our world hunt and some of the bigger events. He comes to things like this. But that's a guy that, without knowing him that well, just being around him when I have, just somebody that that I've just really learned quickly to respect, just his demeanor and everything. And it kind of stinks to see him struggling with his health issues that he is. But I love seeing him come to this and then having him in the final four both nights. Man, kudos to him and everybody that placed in those Pro Slams on both nights. That got in the final four. Mr. Ward is probably one of the most decorated hunters out there in the sport today, and especially on the side of money sports, or the money hunts and such. And he didn't actually have an entry going into it. Matter of fact, there were a lot of guys that wanted an entry to these Pro Slams that didn't get in, and it was just kind of in the last week that a lot of it came up, But I think that we had about a week before they filled up, maybe both of them. But for those next year, make sure you get in early, and get your entry or whatever. But anyways, he ended up getting, Mr. Ward ended up getting an entry from, I think, BK Keeling. I think was it him that he got? Maybe he had two entries, I think. And then so that he kind of lucked out and got an entry there, and that's how he got that Tin Cup dog in there. Which that dog has just won a ton of stuff here in the last 6 months, and so yeah, he kind of slid in there and won the whole doggone thing on Thursday night, I guess it was. So. But yeah, congratulations to them. It's good to see those guys come over and get in these hunts for sure.
Yeah, that's to say, bringing a different, a little bit of a different crowd that we may not see otherwise. So that's a kind of the cool deal about it, is that they get to come and enjoy Automokes with us, get to meet them, and man, some awesome guys coming over that I haven't talked to a lot before we started having a couple of these.
Yeah, but I will add one other thing. You mentioned that the money. A lot of folks, we hear it a lot of times. Money's just going to ruin it, this and that. The results kind of say otherwise. Is in terms of, you just don't hear much. But the one thing I will say that will happen out there. That does. They don't always agree with every call that's being made. But I think one of the differences sometimes is they have learned a lot of times how to deal with those and resolve them out there, and then you don't hear about it anymore. You don't hear a lot of those guys going on social media platforms and complaining about this or that. The things come up sometimes. There's a procedure in place. They do that, and then they leave it at that. That's the resolve, and they leave it at that, and you don't hear more about it. Doesn't mean that sometimes things don't come up, but I think a lot of it is they just deal with it the way it's supposed to be dealt with. So that's why you don't hear about those things.
Couldn't agree with you more.
Professionalism, I think,
Yeah,
experience and professionalism. They've learned how to do that, and
absolutely. And also going on Thursday night, actually off the grounds, we'll talk about it first and kind of wrap up our Bad Habit Automokes warm-up slam series. But we had our last night there in Delaware County, Selma. On Thursday night, 131 entries. So you wrap your hand around that. 131 there at the warm-up slam. We had 16 off the pros at the pro slam off the grounds, and then we actually had 88 dogs hunting off of the grounds as well in our national dual championship, which we'll talk about next. But man, that's a lot of dogs to go to the woods on a Thursday night. So shout out to the entire area for being able to accommodate that, and you didn't have to turn a single dog away all week, and that's something you can pride yourself on. And that's a lot of hard work. A lot of people sitting on the sidelines may not see what it's like in the war room there before a cast call when you're trying to drum up any guys you can, and there's some special guys that are back there and that can make that happen. And we sure appreciate it. Can't put on this hunt without guys like that. But
yeah. And you mentioned Bad Habit. I talked to Mr. RJ, the owner, and his wife Colleen, and they set up in the tent right outside the Kuhlman Center, the big tent there in the lawn. They're just so happy to be able to be a part of Automokes and sponsor this event. They're proud of it, and they love being there, and they did very well there. And I know they appreciate all the hunters, and they Automokes, I think, is quickly becoming one of their favorite events to go to. So, but I want to just personally also thank them for their sponsorship. It's sponsors like that really make a difference, and hopefully those that enter those slams went out and bought something from them.
yeah,
So we can support those who support you, and Bad Habit is certainly one of those good people too.
absolutely. Couldn't say it any better myself. Final four split on Thursday night at the warm up slam, looking at looks like $488 each. So, and again, shout out to Jamie. He was our master of hounds at all three of these warm up slams. That's some long nights for him, but appreciate him being there. And hey, did everything with a kind of our new system and trying out different things, some trial and error, which we're all gonna go through a little bit. But man, he did an awesome job putting a lot of dogs in the woods. So if he can do it there at these big old hunts, it's hard to wonder about a 10 or 12 dog local level hunt, but maybe we won't. Yeah. We won't drop our trailer here on that, but just thinking out loud. But
yeah, hey, I do got to add something there. I saw Donnie Huber. He's from the from the Liberty Club on Saturday. I think I saw him out there, and he stopped me and he was complaining a little bit about the draw system on Tuesday night. But I told him, I said, I don't think I would have done it like that. But I think Jamie kind of took a little bit different procedure when he went to draw casts. So Donnie wasn't too impressed with the first night or whatever. But I think after that, it was much better. But yeah, he thought that's the way we needed to draw dogs, using the big sheets and things like that. But so we had a good talk about that. Yeah. I had to chuckle a little bit.
And real quick, this Final Four split on Thursday night looks like we have 4X Hardwood Haley, Tree and Walker, owned by Terry Bennett and John Walker. I see John Walker as the handler here. Grand Night Champion 2, Bojo Stylish Whitey's, Tree and Walker, owned by Buzz Lynch and Kurt Aaron, snuck in the Final Four here. Grand Night Champion Slow Talking Hawk, owned by Keith Wilt of Pennsylvania. And then rounding out the Final Four is Driveline's Fast Talking Julio, owned by Kenneth Pack of Ohio. So that was our Final Four for each night. What we did then was we had to compile all the results together and figure out who won the most cast. And believe it or not, we actually had 2 hounds that were able to get 3 cast wins this year. And I was trying to think back. I don't remember that happening where 2 of them achieved triple cast wins over the weekend. So real quick, I want to give a shout out to the one that fell just a little bit short, ended up falling short by 125 points total. And that was Grand Night Champion 2, Clark's Blue Sugar Pop, a blue tick out of Vermont, owned by Brad Clark. Won his cast all 3 nights. It didn't quite have enough to do the overall because of a hound named Night Champion Arc Mojo's Rodeo Outlaw. That's a 4-year-old Tree and Walker male owned by Christian and Sarah Freck of New Madison, Ohio. Won their cast one night with 175, another night with 175, and then made it into the Final Four on Wednesday night with 5 1/4, and that gave them 875 plus combined, and that made them the 2025 Automokes Slam Series winner presented by Bad Habit Hunting Supply. So congratulations to Christian and Sarah on their big win with Outlaw.
Yep. So they made enough money that weekend probably to buy a bunch of hunting supplies and this and that and pay for their weekend at Automokes, I bet.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't before Automokes even really started, they were already in the greens, maybe. So that's a pretty good week for them.
Yep, absolutely. Congratulations to them. Hey, and that guy from Mr. Clark from Vermont. It's always good. I love seeing when folks come from different parts of the country like that. And I talked to him out there on the grounds. He was there when I got there on Monday. And I didn't really know him or anything, talked to him a little bit, but obviously he's really into this coon hunting thing. And it's good to see somebody like him do well like he did with his blue ticks.
Yeah, so part of that little group of blue tickers that come from the far northeast right there that you sometimes see around the places. So I always enjoy catching up with those guys. So
you bet.
Lastly, on Thursday night was our national dual championship hunt, and I think we had 71 pre-entries into it, and obviously we had some room for some walk-ups. When the dust settled, we had 93 total dogs entered into the national dual championship, and 88 of them actually went to the woods. We had 5 no-shows, and it was a pretty good hunt that night. I was kind of looking it over. We had 25 casts, and 23 came back with a plus point cast winner, and those 23 advanced to Saturday night's hunt. So, man, if you look at this, obviously I got all the results, every results we go through over the whole weekend. I'm pulling them right off of our website right now. I don't have anything special. I'm looking at the view that you guys would be looking at as well. So make sure you go to ukcdogs.com, standings and results under the Coonhound tab, and man, there's a lot of results if that's your sort of thing. And looking through here, we got a lot of them for you, but some pretty good scores on here. And obviously I didn't get to see the show, but I think, weren't you over there for the show?
I did, and Friday? I called out I called out the show. It was actually the show that they went into the next day on Friday, those cast winners. But that's a good thing, and there were some nice looking dogs in that that were cast winners. And break them down in the second round of this championship is the show where they show against their own breed first, those cast winners. Then you end up with 7 breed winners, and those 7 go into the final round. And then there's one overall winner there that's sponsored by K-Lite. Sandra Hintz with K-Lite gives a light away for those winners there. And man, that final 7 on those benches looked really, really good. And Corey Groover out of Pennsylvania, he got to judge them, and he ended up picking the black and tan. Nice little dog owned by Dave Myers out of Pennsylvania. That was actually handled by Scott Hogan in the hunt and then in the show again. And after he won that with the show, man, it was an emotional win for Scott. It really was. It wasn't his own dog handling a dog for his buddy. And I think that championship has really turned into something pretty unique. These are dogs that have titles on the bench, and in the shows and in the hunts, and it's a big deal for a lot of those. And they're as it should be. They're dogs that are put together well and in both conformation, and then also have the ability they do have. So it's really become something. And I think UKC has a reel that we did, like a highlight reel, where they videoed it right after that win, where I talked with Scott a little bit right after the win, and Dave as well. But then later in the weekend, I had a chance to sit down with Dave Myers, and Scott had already left. But I talked to Dave about this dog named Squirt Alert is her name. Little black and tan, compact, good-looking little female that ended up being the overall winner here. But this would probably be a good time to plug into that interview I did with Dave Myers.
Well, Dave, you won the dual national championship with Squirt.
Yeah, it's still still hasn't sunk in yet.
Yeah, that was Thursday night. She won her cast. He goes up on Friday in the show. In the first round, goes against the other black dogs. What do they have? 3 other cast winners? 2 others?
2 others.
2 others. So there are 3 casts of black dogs, and then she makes it to the final 7. And there you are. You get the nod. You had Scott Hogan handling. Tell us about all that.
A little bit of the backstory there. So, about Lily, she's off of Scipio, Kansas TJ, and a female named Cedar River Molly. Her
registered name is Squirt Alert.
Yeah, her name's Squirt Alert, but I call her Lily.
Yeah. Did you name her?
I did. The story behind that is when I picked her up First time I seen her, I just thought, wow, she's just a little squirt, and it just kind of stuck. And I call her Lily. But leading up to this, Scott, he's hunted with Lily quite a bit, and he was after me about getting her in for this national duel. And I have another dog, Bojack, and he was the one I was focusing on because he's older, and this was going to be his last year. And I thought, well, if Scott's going to hunt her, I'll make the effort. So I got her, started hitting some hunts, got her titled out right before the event, and then so I had 2 dogs in it.
Yep.
So then the weeks leading up to coming out here, I was just busy trying to keep 2 dogs in the woods, keep them going, and Scott would go hunting with her, listening to her and whatnot. And
so he's not handled her before at this.
He's actually put some wins on her before. Yeah, he's handled her for me there and stuff, and he's always been a big fan of her. And so we figured going into this that he handles her, he wins his cast, he's going to run her in the show, and I'll stay with Bo if I win my cast. And just like the fact, he handled the dog from start to finish the whole way through, and and rightfully so. I mean, he was the one that was driving me to get her finished.
Yeah.
And
he lives in Pennsylvania as well as Scott Hogan does. Do you guys live very far apart?
Well, I used to live over a lot closer to him, and I knew him, and I knew his dad really well, Jim. And Jim was actually a really good mentor to me before he passed. And but I live probably right now about 40 minutes from him.
So we close enough you can get together and hunt.
Yeah, we still meet up, usually shoot for every Thursday.
Yeah.
Every Thursday night we
now
shoot
Scott's a plot guy, and he's been here before. He's won that national duel before.
Yeah, he's won it with his dog Bendy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's and he's always he's a good handler, whether it's in the show or we're in the woods.
But he was the other day, Friday, after he won it all yesterday. We're here at Autumn Oaks recording this on Saturday now. But yeah, he was a little emotional over it. It wasn't even his dog, but that just really goes to show what. We're like brothers. We are. Yeah, you bet.
I mean, I was getting emotional about it, and you just think of all the history and stuff.
What do you like about her?
She's got a great personality, and she's not a very big dog, and she was actually one. I had her for a little while, and she went through some stuff that we were working on, and I just was kind of, I don't know if I should keep her, and she always finds a way to just prove you wrong. And then I kept thinking, well, she might win her cast out here, but I didn't realize just how nice she could be on the bench and all that, and she proved me wrong there. So she's always had that ability to do that. As far as in the woods, she's got a real unique mouth. She almost sounds like a coyote.
Really?
So you don't have to worry about anybody calling her. Nobody thinking it's their dog. She sounds all by herself.
Unique mouth.
She's usually not going to get you a first strike, very rarely. I mean, if it's a red hot right out of the truck, she'll get you a first strike. But a lot of times she's usually third, sometimes fourth, and she's got a real good locate. She's usually got about 2 different locates. One, if it's just a big, long, steady squall, it's usually red hot. She's looking at it. If she hits a triple chop, it's usually a little colder. You got to look a little harder for it. And every now and then she'll gamble. Those ones, when you just hear her just fall treed, you just figure, well, she might have bumped a squirrel on that one, just But she's usually good about having a coon. She'll take any kind of pressure. She's good about dogs training with her.
How old is she now?
She's 3, just a hair over 3 right now.
She's probably getting in her prime then.
Oh yeah. We went through some stages, like I said, and I had my Bojack dog I was hunting, and I had another dog off my Doc Holiday and my Galaxy female, and I had him up to night champion, and I was putting wins on him towards Grand Night, and I had 2 male dogs, and I had her, and anybody that hunts knows it's a lot of work to keep one dog right, and then if you're trying to do that, you're just basically settling for mediocrity instead of getting the absolute most out of it, unless you have a good amount of time, and I didn't. But so she got set on the back burner for a lot of time, and timing was always off. She'd either come in heat at the most inopportune time, but then I made the decision, I had Rocky going good, and had an older gentleman actually from out here around Fort Wayne approached me at Black and Tan Days looking for a dog, and got to talking to him and decided that they would be a good fit together, and then that opened that up to where I could really just focus on her. And then she started, when she flipped the switch, especially this past year, she really just hit another gear. She's my favorite thing. I mean, I love her personality, her temperament, but everything she does is 110 mile an hour. You cut her loose, she's got a lot of hustle to her.
Yeah. You said Savannah Brooks is the breeder, her breeder.
Well, she's not the breeder exactly, but she bought her. Donnie Anderson is the guy that raised the litter pups. Okay. He's the guy that raised the litter pups, and I believe Savannah bought her off of Donnie.
Okay.
She raised her up to right about 6 months old, and I picked her up out here. I bought her actually without my wife's consent. I was at work the one day on a break, and I was just scrolling through my phone, and I seen the dog was for sale, and I had my eye on her when Savannah would post videos and stuff, and I'm messaging her, and then there's a couple guys around home. I was sending them messages trying to get them to buy her so I could get her close and keep a better eye on her. Yeah. Because I always wanted to get a dog off of TJ. I loved his looks, and you always heard good things about him.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, he died young, and I mean, he had good reproduction numbers. He just never got his 100 pups before he passed.
Right.
But I knew everything was there. But anyway, not to go off course there, but Savannah had her for sale, and I'm messaging my wife, and she's not responding. Did the same thing on another dog. I ended up just pulling the trigger and bought the dog, and she got back, and I said, well, too late. We got her.
We can't go back now.
Yeah, I don't recommend that for anybody, but she's always a good sport about it. It helps that she's into the dogs.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But, yeah, it just everything just worked out.
Yeah.
I picked her up out here, and first time I seen her, everybody always gave me crap about her because she was. And I said, well, if she was a male dog, I'd have named her Dalton from the Roadhouse because she's so small. Yeah. Everybody always makes fun of her, but no, she's a fun dog. Everybody was joking with me, because I wanted to win it with Bo, but then she was one that I was working with her in there Friday, I'm sorry, and just like, I think she is the better dog over Bo. She's going to beat him.
Well, you won your cast with Bo, too, so those two showed together.
Yeah, we had to go against each other, and I thought, I'm going to have my work cut out, and Liz, she did a great job judging, both her and Corey.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't be any more thrilled with how it all turned out.
Yeah, well, that's good. And just for our listeners, the dual national championship, the requirements are that the dog has to have at least a minimum of a night champion hunt title and also a bench show title, champion title. So, but yeah, those are the only dogs that are eligible for that class. But yeah, hey, Dave, congratulations on another big win.
Thank you.
You've won a lot for a lot of years, but it's got to be pretty exciting. You show a lot, you hunt your dogs as well, so this has got to be very pleasing to get a dog like this, dual champion dog like this.
It is. It sure is.
That's how I was win like this.
Talking to Andy Emery and Keith yesterday there last night because they've won,
Yep.
Andy's won the national duel with Shady, and then she's won the national title with Hank and stuff. She said, they're both great wins, and she said it's hard to hold one over the other. She said, but there's no discounting one versus the other.
Yeah.
They're both great wins, and it's still just hasn't settled in. I look at her a little different now. She did have a little bit of ribeye steak last night for dinner. So.
Well, hey, congratulations again, man.
Well, thank you.
Good win.
Thank you. Great job out here too.
Hey, Alan, I don't know if you've been messing around with this new Houndsman Advantage app at all, but I've been playing with it some, and it has some really cool features on it. One, it has the interactive scorecard view where you can assign strike and tree points at the touch of a button, and it automatically totals your scores after each set of points are scored and valued.
Yeah, no, I like it as well. Some of the features that I like is that you can access the rules and that it comes with a search function to easily find any specific rule. Also like that there's a place for your dog's registration numbers, and you can store pictures of your easy entry cards. I like that you can track two dogs' performances when out pleasure hunting. You'll find some analytics on your dogs. You can record their accuracy, win percentages, and a whole lot of things like that.
No more lying here on this app. The last thing about the scorecard I'll talk about is it has the summary view as well, where you can see the total points you have and the pending points that you have, along with tree timers for each dog. So it's going to come in handy for judges as well. So check it all out on the new Houndsman Advantage app.
Yeah, so there you go. There's your interview with our new national dual champion, night champion, Laurel Valley Squirt Alert, the little female owned by Dave Myers of Pennsylvania. And hey, kind of cool for Dave having two dogs, two black and tans win their cast and making it through to that show. That's a pretty great accomplishment. And like you said, I'm looking at the breed winners here from the National Dual Championship. It's a list of dogs I've seen at TOC finals and world finals and breed day events and state championships winning at the highest level. So it's a pretty impressive list of hounds. So congratulations to everybody on their great accomplishments there in the National Dual Championship.
Yeah, and again, just want to thank Kelly's K-Lights for sponsoring that. They've done this, I think, from the onset, actually. So appreciate all their sponsorship with this dual championship.
Now that we're done with the dual championship, we should shift gears to another part of Thursday that I don't want to leave in the dust, and that was our Thursday specialty bench show. And hey, it was new and it was different, and we tried a lot of different things. And honestly, the entry numbers were actually pretty dang good. I'm looking at 120 entries, not counting the youth show. And I know that Danielle and Nicole and Lacey said we had quite a few youth, so I still have to wrangle up those numbers. But
I got it for you in my head.
Back in the office here.
I got it for you in my head. I added it up right there at the table the other day, or when I was there on that 157 total with the youth.
Okay, so we're looking at about 37 youth that were in the show. Very nice.
Yep.
So perfect. And I also don't have those results in front of me, but we'll talk about some of the other winners and some of the other classes real quick and just kind of go through the overall winners. We started out with the puppies. 4 to 6 month old puppy winner with second wins, Magic Sauce, Tree and Walker male owned by Janice Hunter. Our 6 to 9 month old puppy winner was Merrimack Valley's Pure Ecstasy, Tree and Walker female owned by Connie Martin. Our 9 to 12 month old puppy winner was Wabash River Rope in the Wind, Redbone owned by Andy Emery. So the puppy classes were pretty cool. I think we could probably see an uptick in those if we stick with this thing. But hey, real quick, we should probably mention our judges for Thursday's show before I keep going. Mr. Heath Hyatt out of Virginia, and then Scarlett Lee, and I think she's living in Ohio now. So a couple of well-respected judges who did a pretty darn good job in a little bit that I got to watch when I was over there.
Yeah, me too. I was over there several times throughout the day on Thursday. You know, Friday and Saturday we kind of get busy with other things in the hunt office and don't spend as much time, or at least I don't get to spend as much time over there. But Thursday, it was good, and they did a great job. It was good to have Heath Hyatt. Now he's kind of a maybe an outside of the box pick for a judge, but I can tell you he knows what a hound's supposed to look like, how they're supposed to move, and he knows a lot about hounds. He knows a whole lot more than a lot of people do. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But he's all into the the police canines and things like that, and how they work, how their smellers work and all that good stuff, and it's fun to listen, or it's good to sit down and listen to him talk about those type of things,
Very sharp guy. I listened to a lot of his podcasts over the past several years, and man, they got a wealth of knowledge there about just dogs in general and their senses, like you said, a lot of cool stuff. So.
Yeah.
Veteran class, I think that was our biggest class of all day Thursday. So that's awesome to see. Had a lot of people clamoring for that. And the overall veteran winner ended up being second win, Sexy and Silk. That's actually a Grand Champion Hall of Fame dog and an Emerald champion in our confirmation shows. And that's a Tree and Walker female owned by Beth Jenkins and Raven Hunt. So congratulations to them on taking home that awesome honor. The stud dog class, at the end of the day, the overall winner was actually the English male Grand Champion 2 Renegade Swamps Ain't a Bad Day, owned by Kristen Gordon. And then the females came in after that in the brood bitch class, and the overall winner was Lost Heritage Bodak Yellow, Tree and Walker female, owned by Beth Jenkins. And then the generations came in. Overall winner there, night champion, confirmation grand champion, Skyline something royal, Tree Walker female owned by Beth Jenkins and Michelle Zimmerman. So kind of some fun classes. I was talking to Heath there a little bit ringside while we were watching the Hall of Fame finals, and was picking his brain on some of the stuff he saw today. And he was kind of telling me about the judging. This was, it's kind of tough. You got a whole variety from kids to then you got puppies, and you go from puppies to the old dogs, and you go from that to having to judge these 3 dog shows where you're trying to compare and contrast these lineages of dogs and see who's got the most consistent or excellent breeding programs and things like that. So it's kind of cool picking his brain on that. And yeah, it seems like it was probably it's a tough one. That's why we got a couple of good judges there, but interesting information there talking with him about that.
Yeah, one of the things I'll add to that is the kids show, and had a good number of kids there, but they didn't judge their dogs. They judged their handling skills. So that's one thing that was different about this show. And I like that, so they can work on their dog at home, bring their, do their homework and of handling dogs. That's what they're being judged on, is their handling skills. And we had 2 different classes. We had the novice classes, and broke down into 2 age groups, the juniors and the seniors and a novice. And then we had an open class too. So, but they were well attended, and we have a lot of good young handlers, good up and comers. It's amazing, but I think it's because of not just our own youth programs that we have, but the youth events that clubs and associations are putting on as well, has really brought out some good things, and brought out some good handlers and created some good handling. And man, it's fun to watch those kids. It's amazing, actually.
Yeah, they kind of kicked off.
You didn't see that 40 years ago. You did not see that.
Absolutely. And then the kind of main event of the afternoon there in the expo hall was the Grand Champion Hall of Fame show, and I made my way over there for that and got to see those 7 dogs in there. And man, it was an awesome class, stacked full of dogs that had won. I'm looking at here, Black and Tan, Doc Holiday, Blue Tick winner, Rocky Hills Best, Poor Men's Roses was the English winner, I'm calling Dibbs was a plot winner, Push My Luck, the Redbone winner, we know what all it won, Southern Ruger, another dog that won an absolute ton, a Tree and Walker. And that's just kind of cool to see these dogs that won so much over the past several years all competing against each other here. And some of them may be past their prime of competing. A lot of these dogs have been put up or put on the back burner for the younger generation, or those that they're 2 and 3, 4-year-old dogs that these owners and handlers have now. But Scarlett had her work cut out for her, and at the end of the day, when the dust settled, she selected the plot male, our former world champion, or 2019 world champion, should I say, Diamond Grand Champion of the Confirmation Shows, Grand Champion Hall of Fame, I'm calling Dibbs, HTX2, the plot male owned by Mr. Wayne Steele of Virginia.
Yeah, that's just a nice dog. That dog has done a lot of winning, and I think he's, what is he, 9, 10 years old already?
Yeah, I want to think I think he's 8 or 9 right now.
Is he? Okay, maybe. Yeah. He might be a little bit, but he's still just still so well put together still, yeah. Maintaining, yeah, and it's and Wayne's just a good guy, and that was a big win for him, and he's had some big ones with that dog, but adding a win like this, and we're going to talk about him again a little bit later on, but that dog has left his mark in the ring, in the show arena, that's for sure.
Yeah, actually, it was just fresh on my mind because I kind of put some information about some of these big winners from the weekend in my bulletin today. And if you're looking for it, posted the bulletin September 2nd. This is the 19th edition. So you can go there and look at date of births and bred by and owned by and 3-generation pedigrees for some of our biggest winners of the weekend. And Dibbs, 30 birth June of 2017. And it just kind of shows you dogs that are conformationally are correct, can kind of withstand the time and going through time, and it's held up well, and obviously still a pretty nice hound to this day. Anyways, let's fast forward now to Friday morning. We already talked about the National Dual Championship show and how that shook out, but now we'll talk about our registered portion of the show, which would have kicked off Friday morning about 9:30 a.m. man, we had a really good entry. I kind of tallied them up before we started here. It looked like we ended up with 58 registered males and 66 registered females. So that's a pretty darn good show for Corey Groover from Pennsylvania and Liz Phipps, Stalker Phipps from Ohio to kind of comb through. And at the end of the day, there's a lot of winners here. So we for the sake of time, we'll just mention our best male and best female show. And if you want to see more results, remember, going to be there on the website. They've been on the websites. It's Friday. So best male show was Grand Rivers Where Legends Are Made, a red bone owned by Marissa Turner and Joe Lewis. So kind of cool to see that duo take on the big win. And then the best female show was Skylines Lost Heritage Gold Digger, Trian Walker, owned by Beth Jenkins and Raven Hunt. So we mentioned their names a couple times now. They had a heck of a weekend, and those are just two young dogs who I'm sure we'll see a lot more of. This will be a kicking off point for them, I'm sure, as it is often is for the best male and best female show at this one.
Yeah, and the competition doesn't get any stronger than it does at Autumn Oaks in any of the classes, basically. If you're going up for best in show, male or female registered, you're seeing a lot of the new up-and-comers. And Corey Groover actually remarked on that he saw some very strong dogs on Friday in the registered classes, and I'm not sure which one of the judges who did the male or who did the female, but I think the next day, Saturday, I was out on the grounds with my golf cart, and Marissa Turner was just leaving the show grounds. She was going out to her camper, and so she jumped on my cart, and I got to talk to her a little bit about, when I asked her about winning this, and man, she was just so ecstatic about this. She has this young litter that she's been grooming along here, and this is one of those, and she was just so super proud of this. And man, it's neat to hear people talk about how much this means to them, and you can just feel it. How much it's a big win. And
Absolutely.
Congratulations to both of those winners.
Absolutely. Friday night's hunt, man, like we talked about, the weather was absolutely great. Our pre-entries were a little bit down this year, and I think we both knew that we were, with the weather forecast, that we were going to get absolutely punched in the mouth with walk-up entries, and we did. We ended up getting 125 walk-up night entries on Friday night, so I really appreciate everybody coming out. I know that man, hey, it's just a big hunt, and you guys had to bear with us a little bit. That's a lot of the moving pieces, but ended up being a great hunt. We got all the dogs in the woods, so that was the most important thing. We're able to use most of our guides. I think maybe we had to turn away just one or two when it was all said and done. I think you did Grand Nights, and there was only two guides that we weren't able to use. So super happy about that. Had to beat the bushes a little bit for some night champion and registered guides, but you'll have that sometime. So appreciate the clubs coming through for us, but ended up being a great hunt. I tallied some numbers really quick. I didn't get number of coons scored or anything like that, but I will tell you we had 103 casts go to the woods on Friday night, and with our new system, the spreadsheets make it super easy to track this accurately. Only 6 casts came back without a plus point cast winner, 2 night champion, 4 registered. So 6 out of 103 casts being dead, not bad. That means that every one of the nearly 70 Grand Night champion casts came back with a plus point cast winner. That is just amazing. I would have to go back and look to see if that's ever happened, but 0 dead casts with close to 70 casts going to the woods in the Grand Night Champion division just kind of speaks to the caliber of dog that there was at this event this weekend.
Yep, and one record we hit this at this year's Autumn Oaks was the number of Grand Nights. We have never had more Grand Nights at Autumn Oaks than we did this year, even at the 50th.
Kind of seems to be trending that way, and I don't know, it turned out to be an awesome hunt, even trying to get them all in the woods, and obviously they were in great hunting. So shout out to the guides for not only getting them in safe woods, but also getting them to places where they could score on coon. So that was obviously the case. Saturday morning, kind of the first thing on our plate was Grand 16. We finalized all the scores before we left for the fairgrounds early Saturday morning. So I appreciate Lacey and my wife Jenna, who came along as well, for getting up early with me, and we were in there crunching numbers, and we have fun with that. We enjoy seeing it come in. Appreciate the field reps getting the scores to us quick, and man, those are some long night for those guys, and we'll talk more about them. But those are probably the most underappreciated people of the entire weekend there that I'm mentioning, the field reps and some of our staff that kind of doesn't get the glamour that me and you get, and put in just as much, if not more, more effort onto the weekend, and have just as much sweat and tears and into this event as we do, and are just as proud as at the end of the day pulling out of there as we are after a good hunt. But so Saturday morning we had our Grand 16 meeting, 10 a.m. 11 a.m. We gathered them all up, got all our details together, and we had a really nice top 16 dogs with some dogs that everybody had heard of before, and a couple of dogs that nobody had heard of before, and same for the handlers. And it turned out to be an absolutely awesome hunt on our side. But we'll shift gears now over to the other side of the fairgrounds real quick, to the expo hall, and talk about the Saturday bench show, which would have kicked off with the champion classes. And talking about the champion class, we had 44 champion males and 59 champion females that were actually showing there on Saturday in the first part of the day. And the champion male ended up being Scarberry's Mucho Loco Leroy, a black and tan owned by Colby and Robert Scarberry of West Virginia. And then the champion female was Gilman's Driving Me Coconuts, owned by Misty Yarrington of Illinois, another black and tan. So the black and tans kind of took it home there, it looks like.
Yeah, I don't have any of those results in front of me, so I'm just I'm banking on you here to give us the.
Yeah. Hopefully, it looks like they. I don't know if maybe they put a name in here wrong, so I'm hoping that's the case. But first time I'm kind of actually looking at these results, so that might be on me a little bit. But hopefully I got those two right there. So, and then on the grand champion side of things, that's obviously after the kids show, and I think you got pulled Doug over and had a couple other staff members with the kids come in. How did that turn out? The kids show, Non-Losses Kids Show, yeah.
That's almost always so much fun. I pulled Doug in with this, and I don't think he's ever done that before. He was helping you at the time. You were already taking entries, but I told him, I said, hey, just come on. We got 15, 20 minutes. I need to steal you. And I think Doug had a lot of fun with it too. And we had 2 rings. I'm going to say 7 benches in each one, and I'm going to say we filled up about 3 rounds of them. So there were a ton of kids there, and they're so excited about that. And I usually take the microphone, get their names and this and that a little bit. So it's always fun and get them kids involved, and it's I think they love that stuff, So
good little photo op and get them a little medallion and get used to the ring, get used to people being around. It's a cool little learning experience.
Yeah, one little kid. I didn't get his name right. I thought he said his name is Brandon. No, not Brandon. It's Branson. So I finally got it right. It's always good.
Oh, that is funny. And then after that, it was time for the main event. That's whenever the grand champions come in. It looks like this year we had 56 grand males competing and 47 grand females competing for the title of national grand champion. And first we'll mention our opposite sex that ended up being this year a blue tick female named grand champion Winners Blue Fancy Like That, owned by Michelle Winners and Hayden and then Steele of Pennsylvania is where Michelle's out of. So awesome accomplishment for that team, that blue tick female who's done quite a bit of winning and is out of a line of winners that Michelle's had there up in the Northeast for a long time now. And again, we talked about this already. Our overall national grand champion is that just adding to his resume and becoming. I wish I had the number of dogs that have accomplished this feat now, but there's not very many of them to win both the World Show and the national grand champion of Autumn Oaks. And that is now national grand champion, World Show champion, Diamond grand champion in the confirmation shows, grand champion Hall of Fame. My dog, I'm calling Dibbs, HTX2, the plot male owned by Wayne Steele out of Virginia, took home the top honors of the weekend.
Yeah, and I was over there and actually used my phone and recorded that last class there. And I think UKC Hounds, I think, took that and posted it on their Facebook page, so you can see that final class there. But man, Trevor, that was what a class of grand winners. They're up in the finals, for that overall. It's amazing, just every one of them. But, yeah, she picked him out of that lineup of 7 dogs. I'm talking about Liz Phipps, the judge, and said some really nice things. You could tell that was just the icing on the cake for Mr. Wayne Steele, the owner, with that dog. And that probably about does it for this dog. What else is there for him to win? Not a whole lot, if anything. But it's got to be amazing to have the accomplishments that Wayne has had with this dog. And I don't know if I'd say he's probably breeding him breeding him quite a bit, and this and that. But hey, Danielle Champ is, as you know, is one of our newest employees. I say employees. We kind of gave her an assignment, I guess, so to speak, with UKC, and that is being our bench show consultant. But she is actually the one that then went and interviewed Mr. Steele after the win here. So this would be a good time to plug that in and listen to Danielle and Wayne talk about this win with Dibbs.
All right, Wayne. First, I want to come in here and say congratulations.
I appreciate it.
We have Wayne with Dibbs. He won our national grand show champion here today at Autumn Oaks. Wayne, can you tell us a little bit about Dibbs?
Well, Dibbs is my buddy. He's one of those what I call once-in-a-lifetime dogs. He's loves the show and just always has. He's out of Donner's is his daddy, and my original honey dog is his mother.
How old is he?
He's 8.5.
And he's already won. He's won the world, and you said he's
won the world. He's won a classic. He's won Grand American.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So. And he's a mover. I watched him in that ring today, and he could really move.
I appreciate it.
So tell me what was going through your mind today, right before Liz announced you as the winner.
Please pick Dibbs as the winner. No, I want to retire him.
Yeah.
And I wanted this show, so I was just sitting there thinking,
one last time.
Last time.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny because I have a female pup out of him, and her name is One Last Dream for that same thing.
Yeah.
So
they kind of get, you have those once in a lifetime dogs, and they're special. People don't understand how close of a bond you get with those dogs.
He is.
Have you ever been able to hunt Dibbs?
Dibbs is HTX too.
Yep. I thought I seen that on his title.
Yeah, I can't competition hunt because I can't hear good enough. I can hear a pile of dogs, but I can't pick one out to call him.
Yeah.
But he gets hunted quite often.
Yeah, you pleasure hunting. Can you walk us through the moment you realized that you had won the national title?
It was all a blur, to be honest with you. I was just excited and thankful. I mean, it's just a blur. To me, that's bigger than winning the world championship. So
yeah, everybody strives to win Oaks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. How did you train Dibbs?
Dibbs is has been one of his natural dogs. He didn't take a lot of working to get him to. He just likes showing. And for this show, I bought a four-wheeler to run him with because he got a little fat on me over the wintertime. But I used it one time, and it broke down. So me and Dibbs have been going on a 4-mile walk every afternoon for about the last month. I don't know who lost more weight, me or him.
Well, he did great today. So now that you have him, you're going to retire him, or or is this his last show?
I'm going to maybe show him in some veteran classes, those kind. But as far as UKC, Autumn Oaks and them kind, I think I'm going to retire.
Yeah, when you showed him at the veterans class, I thought, man, he's really held up for his age. Yeah. Who would have known you would have got to go and win the national title? Do you have anybody in particular that you really look up to in this sport?
Well, it was my father, but he died 23 years ago now. And he's been and Dave Birdsall has been a big influence on my dog career. So
yeah, I seen that he was in your picture. Yeah. And then Curtis came over and told me that him and Chirpy used to watch you. Yeah, that was cool.
Well, the first Autumn Oaks we ever come to, I was too young to come, but Daddy, Mama, and Chirpy and Dave Birdsall come together. He told me the year earlier, but I forget what it was, but they were in a homemade camper. The dogs slept underneath of them, and they slept on top of it.
That's great. Where do you see yourself in the future? You see yourself going anywhere else here soon, or?
Well, like I say, I got a couple of prospects coming up behind Dibbs, so I'm hoping they'll keep me going.
Yeah. So, out of all how many years have you been showing?
Oh, since the early '80s.
what has been your most memorable memory?
It'd be between the world and today. I mean, both of them are wins everybody strives to get.
Yeah.
So.
And it's with the same dog. That's pretty good. Well, I mean, congratulations. We really loved seeing him up in the ring and cheering for him. And I guess we'll get to see you maybe at the World.
Well, Dibbs I'm not going to show at the World, but a son of his that I own is going to be shown there. So I don't know if I'm going to show him or Hunter Booth's going to show him, but I'm going to have one of his sons there.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool.
And not a litter mate, but a little younger female I'm going to have there. So.
He looks like he's producing pretty well. How many pups does he have?
He doesn't. I've only bred him twice. So in one litter we had a lot of bad luck. Then raised me 2 pups out of it.
And his daddy is a world or is it world or national?
He's world.
Yeah, I thought it was world. I mean, so proven cross it looks like, and great genetics, that's for sure. All right, well, we'll go ahead and jump off here, and we thank you and congratulate you. And
I appreciate it.
Everybody look for pictures, huh?
That's right. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Bye.
And there you go. There's your new national grand champion. And hey, the kind of cool thing about it for me is, he won the first world championship I ever went to as an employee back in 2019. So we're talking about just shy of 6-year difference between winning the world and national grand champion of Autumn Oaks. Typically, in the past few years, it's happened a couple times, but typically it's in at least a 1 to 2 year gap, not a 6-year gap. That's pretty darn impressive for a dog to be in peak condition that long.
No kidding. It's not like he's 5 or 6 anymore. He's 8, you said, and almost going on 9 now, So, yeah, that really speaks for his for his confirmation and how well he's kept it together, and going up against the dogs that he's up against. It's crazy, but yeah.
I guess before we put a whole bowl in this show, now you had a little bit of an opportunity to talk to our show judges.
I did, yes. So after the show on Saturday, both Liz Phipps and Corey Groover, I asked them to see if they'd sit in here and talk to them, just get their thoughts on the 2 days of shows. And I didn't take much time here, but I think they had some nice things to say about the show, and I think it's always good for folks to kind of hear the thoughts of the judges. This is probably the show of the year in coonhounds as a judge that you want to judge, or it's up there, and the only one that probably comes close is probably the next one would be the World Championship maybe, but at this one you probably see more better dogs than you will at any other show, so I like to hear what their thoughts are after, and I can tell you, Corey, I've known Corey since he came up through our youth programs. He's passionate about it. He is educated himself on not just on the show part of it, hunting, and just a lot about dogs. He's very passionate about the sport. He's very serious. And so it was good to hear his thoughts. He's younger than we are, and he's still a pretty young cat for judging a big show like this. And then you have Liz Phipps, who has been at it a long time and is very good and knowledgeable and educated and knows what she's looking for. And so take a couple of minutes here and listen to their thoughts on the whole weekend right here.
Well, guys, here we are. Corey just got done judging the show. Liz Phipps, tell us about your day here, your weekend, 2 days of it. Who wants to go first? Liz?
Yeah, ladies first.
Yeah. Still catching my breath,
Yeah.
but what a fabulous 2 days. Absolutely great lineup of dogs. I mean, just quality class after class. And it's just so exciting, everybody coming together and just, they work hard all year, conditioning those dogs, getting them ready, traveling, and for the final showdown.
Yeah, and the first day, Friday, we have open registered. So that probably is kind of nice to see some of the up-and-comers, younger dogs probably, and then not just that, but also probably as a judge, it's a big stage, and it kind of eases you into the big dogs on Saturday, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So after yesterday, how'd you feel? You told me on Friday morning, you said you were so excited you didn't sleep much the night before.
No, I didn't.
But then Friday night, you slept.
I did. I took a hard nap in the afternoon when I got back to the hotel, and then I was up late last night. But yeah, it felt a lot better coming into today.
Yeah.
You just don't know what to expect and what dogs are going to walk through your ring. And it's just thrilling because you don't see them. You know, this year I've judged just a few local shows at my club, just in a pinch to help out, trying to stay away from the whole scene. And the last few years I've been away from it, doing a lot more. You know, I've had some dogs growing up and dogs kind of going different places and struggling to have my own dog to show here. But it's just thrilling to see and everything come together.
Yeah. Corey, what about you? How did you enjoy it?
Man, I loved it. You know, I unfortunately I haven't been at Autumn Oaks the last couple of years, you know, raising kids and you know, chasing my career and stuff like that. But my gosh, I was just blown away with some of the quality we saw out there this weekend. You know, I would say especially in that registered category on Friday. Some of the better dogs that I saw all weekend came from the registered category, and I think that speaks to what we're doing as breeders and what we're doing as judges and officials, you know, and picking the right dogs and making the right crosses, and I think it's awesome.
Your first big assignment like this, you know, it was I love to have you, you know, working with you. The other morning when I introduced you, I really meant those things, you know, because you know, you've always been passionate. Yeah. And I know you do your homework. Just from working with you, I know you do your homework, and I knew you'd do your homework before you got here and everything. But
well, I certainly appreciate the opportunity to come out here, especially to judge with Liz. I mean, I've known Liz for a long time, and you know, fun fact, we actually owned a dog together at one point in time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And cooperated with a dog, and I won't say what breed it was because it would probably do us both a disservice. But
she could treat some coon though.
Oh, she was a fantastic coon dog. But yeah, just being able to come here and watch Liz do her work and see what UKC's grown the Autumn Oaks into. I mean, it really brings a tear to your eye.
Okay,
almost.
Liz, I'm going to go to Corey here first, but I want you to think about your final pick in the Grands, the overall. You got to pick the overall in the Grands today, Saturday. Corey, you picked the overall dual national champion of the dogs that hunted.
Yes.
On Thursday and then showed on Friday. Tell us about that class and maybe your final lineup.
Yeah. So being able to judge those dual dogs was amazing. You know, thankfully we had a really great lineup. There were 3 dogs in that group. They were strong contenders from the ground up. And, you know, specifically, I was looking at the black and tan female that ended up winning the national duel, the Treeing Walker male, and then there was actually a blue tick female in that group that, you know, I was kind of keeping my eye on as well. And the 3 of those dogs, they were awesome. I think they're exactly what the program's trying to generate and doing what it's doing. And I was just tickled to death to be able to pick that little black and tan female. She was a superstar, man. I loved her to death.
Yeah. So today in your final lineup there with picking the national champion Autumn Oaks, are you nervous at all by this time? You've looked at a bunch of dogs for 2 days.
Absolutely nervous.
But that lineup
you know,
I was out there and took a video of that final lineup. They looked awesome up there.
Well, and it was really cool yesterday, you know, starting with the champions, the registered best male of show, and seeing the dogs. You know, I didn't know what to expect coming, you know, doing half the breeds and Corey doing the other half, but we just had a solid, consistent lineup of dogs of the same type, you know, and you could look down through there and on any given day, those dogs could win. Mm-hmm. And it was the same when I judged, you know, the champion females today and then overall. My lineup of the dogs overall, I had 3 in there that were phenomenal, that really stuck out to me. And I would say that was obviously the Plot Hound, the Blue Tick, and the Treeing Walker. Yeah. And they just have that little bit of extra in the breeds where they just show their hearts out and and grab your attention in the ring. But with my pick, the Plot, and it is a dog that I judged years ago, and I couldn't remember how long ago, but Wayne told me that he is 9 years old. And it's just such a thrill to see these old dogs come in, to be in the condition that he's in. He just has gotten nicer over the years, filled out more body, stamina, and that's what you want. You want a dog that holds up over time.
Yeah.
And, you know, Wayne told me, he's retired now. He's going to go out and he's just going to hunt.
Yeah.
And that's even better to know that those dogs are, you know, living out the rest of their life doing what they're meant to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he just commanded my attention when he came into the ring. You know, that first off in the morning, or I'm sorry, this afternoon, the first class of Grands were my Plot dogs. And there he was. He's an, you know, unbelievable dog, once in a lifetime dog, I'd say.
Yeah, well, hey, I hope you guys both enjoyed your weekend here, and I want to thank you both for taking on this assignment, and I'll let you both have the final word here in just a second. But Corey, thank you for taking and for doing this. Liz, thank you, and I think you both did a wonderful job, and I know you enjoyed it. It was a wonderful weekend. It was so pleasant. The weather here has just been awesome, but I thank you guys for taking the time and everything, but I'll let you guys close us out here.
Yeah. Well, likewise, we both appreciate the opportunity. You know, I think it's really exciting to see where this coonhound world is going. You know, we see progress that's made, you know, in the dogs that we're breeding, you know, from a conformation standpoint. We're promoting better dogs in the woods. UKC's doing its part and providing those, you know, avenues for people to, you know, have litmus tests to make better dogs. And I think it's just exciting to be a part of it, you know, and sit back and watch, you know, the greatness unfold. I think it's great.
And I do want to say, with judging, it is a great honor and a privilege. And with that comes, you know, it's my opinion. Mm-hmm. And today it just happens to be official. So whether you agree with me or not, just know that, you know, I value every exhibitor in that ring, and I want you to know that you're seen, and I don't take it for granted every step around the ring, every dog that comes through there. And I just really thank everyone, and don't want to get emotional, but it's come to an end today, and
well said.
Hope to see everyone in the future.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have another responsibility coming up very soon. Your life's going to change a little bit, probably.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you're expecting a baby here before too long. I don't know when, but it looks like it's not going to be too much longer.
October 16th is when our blessing's going. Yeah, only somebody crazy dog show lady would be here.
Yeah,
almost 8 months pregnant to judge dogs, but I love it.
Yeah, well, all right. Well, thank you both.
Yeah.
Well, there they are. Appreciate them taking time away from their families. I know Corey's got a couple little ones. Liz expecting one here pretty darn soon. So appreciate them coming out and
sooner than I thought. Sooner than I thought. I think the photos I saw were a couple months old already.
And now, hey, let's shift gears to our Saturday night hunt. Started out with our Grand 16 ceremony on Saturday night at 4 p.m. and opening ceremonies. I thought it went awesome. Got the casts all drawn. Got some really nice pictures in front of our woods backdrop, and a lot of interaction online with people picking their favorites. And I love to see that. Nobody should ever take that personal, but we should, if we want to be major contenders and mainstream, we got to get out there and drive interaction and get eyes on things. So I think that's never a bad thing to do, to pick some winners and things like that. So I appreciate everybody competing in that. On Saturday night, we ended up with, let's see here, we had 151 dogs entered. 126 of them actually went to the woods after we take out no shows, and that's not taking into account our Grand 16. But again, so we had 32 casts on Saturday night between night champions and registered, and only 3 came back without a plus point cast winner. So just an awesome weekend of tree and coons. The final tally for the weekend, 9 dead casts out of 135 total casts, and that means that the success rate on those casts of having a plus point cast winner, 93.3%. Really can't ask more from the guides and you guys for bringing the dogs there than that. Awesome jobs by all accounts. And by the time the hunt was over, we were the first round, I stayed until the end of till all the Grand 16 casts were back, and we turned around and got them back out. And want to thank all of our guides and judges on that final cast. In the later round, we had Daryl Workman and Jason Bowling as our judges, and Derek Compton was our guide. Early, I should mention Shorty and Peyton Tinsman, and then Roddy McCracken guided the cast, and then I believe that was all of them there. So appreciate all of them for stepping up and helping us out. But at the end of the night, our overall national Grand Night champion ended up being the Trina Walker female from up in Bluffton, Indiana, Grand Night Champion 2, Hoosier Daddy, owned by Nick Emmel. Great win for them. Man, Nick, he has several good dogs, and if it's not Gabby, it's Hoosier Babe, and if it's not Babe, it's Hoosier Daddy. And man, that guy just
Gabby and a bunch of them.
Man, just a flat winner, and no matter which dog he's towed to the woods, he just has them ready, and is just a good dog man, and he has good people around him that help him keep him hunted up. And I know he'd say that if we had him on here. But man, just an awesome accomplishment now to just add to the accomplishments he's had with his line of dogs. And Hoosier Daddy, the next one, the 2025 National Grand Night Champion.
That's it, man. You can't be help but be happy for somebody like Nick. He's he's a humble guy, hard hunter. You know, he has his homework done. He has a good line of dogs, and he's been breeding them for a good while. He hunts his own dogs, you know, breeds and hunts his own dogs. So much success with it. I did ask him. I wanted so badly to get his thoughts here, but he's just kind of a little bit shy, and it was just a little much than he wanted to do on Sunday morning, you know. So I wasn't going to pressure him too much to come on, but just a great guy and a good win, big win for him, and he was excited for sure. What is a 5-year-old dog? I think 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah, he is. I got it right here. He was born in February of 2020. So yeah, just a 5-year-old dog, 5.5 years old. So yeah. So and he also a great lineup of national Grand Night champions here. Our Black and Tan breed winner, Grand Night Champion 2, Midnight Smoky 7 Jr., owned by Donnie Eagley up in Iowa. Bill Tooman was handling that dog. Leopard was champion, Grand Night Champion 3, Ralph's Crispy Fried Bacon, owned by Hunter Sneed out of Kentucky. Our Blue Tick winner, Dual Grand, A.B. Herron's Handsome Dan, owned and handled by Jonah Grove of Indiana. That dog made it to our Grand 16 and fell just short in his quarterfinal cast, or semifinal cast, should I say. English winner, Grand Night Champion 2, Indian Creek Loudmouth Hook, actually ended up coming in second place on just a heck of a final cast. You look at that scorecard, and it was super competitive. They scored a bunch of coons. All the dogs looked good and scored one coon each, and it ended up being a really competitive cast. And that dog's owned by Michael Mitchell of Indiana and handled by Lee Wade. Plot winner, Grand Night Champion 2, Grand Champion Savage, Redwood Hokies Hatchet, owned by Zachary Savage out of Maryland and handled by Jacob Coons. The Redbone winner was also in the Grand 16, and that was Grand Night Champion Outlaw High Rolling Gambler, owned by Alan Halada and Lindsey Morrow and Tony Dominguez, and handled by Matt B. Bout. So, man, just a great lineup of national Grand Night champions. Love seeing. I kind of love how we do awards here, and there's a little bit of everything there on Sunday morning when we're doing awards as far as breed representation.
Yeah. You know, one thing we didn't mention was the sponsor for the Grand 16, and I want to make sure we do that, is Yoder Nylon, Marty Yoder. He has been sponsoring this Grand 16 now for, 4 or 5 years maybe, but this year again, he gives everybody those 16 a brand new pair of boots with the Super Chaps, gives them a choice of a couple different boots there, but we really appreciate Marty and Yoder Nylon for what they do here for the Grand 16.
And I had one more note here just while we were talking. Obviously, we already talked about the Grand Night Champions, 0 dead casts over the whole weekend, how many dogs were entered, how many casts went to the woods. And man, I know there's been some discussion about the scores, and if you look at the scorecards, man, there's some really impressive things going on. The crazy thing about it, actually, it was a 700 plus point cutoff to get into the Grand 16. If you go on down the list, 28 hounds scored 500 plus or more, and that's just a really respectable score. And on a great Indiana night like that, 2-hour cast, some of them getting down to 2 and 3 dog casts, and even some having to hunt by themselves for a little bit. That's a great night, and just a really consistent cast across the board. So congratulations to all the cast winners. Andrea, our editor, is going to kill us here, but we have a couple more things to go through. So we're not going to go through all the night champions, but I should mention our first place night champion was night champion She's Too Gucci a train walker female owned by Mitchell Kramer out of Indiana. And our first place registered dog was McNeese Main Street Reba, a crossbred a female owned by Asa Briggs up in Michigan. He's added a little bit of Train Walker Willie, the past world champion, into his line of English hounds, and this is what she come up with. And he says this dog is going to be his next big winner. So if you want to see full results from the hunt, like I say, go to ukcdogs.com. There's a ton of results on here. Go through here. You can see all the cast winners. You can see all the placements, all the good stuff. That's all readily available there. Before we sign off, Alan, I think we really need to go through at least several of our thank yous that we haven't been able to touch on while we've been going through here. And first, I'm going to start off with our staff. Appreciate, all these people make these things go, and I want to give them the flowers, even if maybe they don't hear this. So obviously, I got you on the list here. Lacey, from the hunting ops department, my wife Jenna, who came down with us. I mentioned both of them already. Nicole Sedlecki, again, she's our vice president now. She started out as just being over national events, and she's elevated our national events to a whole different level, and we have a whole new standard now when we're putting them on that we feel like we have to reach. You mentioned Danielle Champ, all the things she does for us, especially over in the show building this weekend. Felt like everything was really well taken care of. Wasn't concerned about it at all. Holly, she's new, our national event lady. A lady who puts all that on. Debbie, who would have been working the merch booth and comes up with a lot of great ideas for merchandise and things. Got a great look to a lot of the stuff she does. Taylor Armstrong, who's been around for a long time. And then you had Parker Radcliffe, who's new to the registration team. They worked the registration booth all weekend. Gina Smith, who is part of our marketing team, who worked a lot of the merch booth this weekend. We had Sam and Christina, who are both part of our marketing team, who came down on Friday and Saturday and helped us with a lot of our stuff. And then Chris Ingram was there from the marketing team as well, getting a lot of good content and candid pictures and little video content throughout the weekend all over the fairground. So appreciate all of our staff for being there and what they do to help take some weight off of our chest and being there and doing the little things that make these events like this go. The little details are so important.
Yeah, then I would like to add Clayton Stark to it. He helped us as well. And Clayton does a lot with the video part. And you're going to see like a recap of Autumn Oaks, on Clayton Stark's YouTube page somewhere. But he needs to be added on that list as well.
Yeah, and while you're talking about him, up at Tracy Chilson and Clayton there together being, I made a comment. I'm reading straight from my bulletin here that I think that they're about the best in their respective businesses as they can be, taking win photos for Tracy and some of the candidates that she gets, and then Clayton capturing content and just two absolute superstars.
Hey, let me say one thing. Tracy, you say she's one of the best, and she is one of the best. You watch her take photos, and I think some of the reasons she can take good photos is she asks the handlers to be standing in the right spots. And, one thing a lot of times when you get up there and you don't know how to stand really, a lot of guys will tend to put their hands in their pocket, and she will be quickly to say, "My friend, would you just take your hands out of your pocket?" And, at the end of it, when you look at her pictures, it's those little things that she communicates with the people in her photos and make sure the dog is set up right is the difference in a great photo versus a regular photo. And that's why she's so good at doing those things, and I know sometimes some of the hunters especially think, okay, my dog's not a show dog or this or that. But you know what? A good picture is a good picture, and a good picture looks a whole lot better than a crappy picture.
Absolutely.
And she's good at getting those out there.
Absolutely. Next, we'll mention our field reps from the weekend, and I have I'm going to read this quote here from my bulletin. I can't tell you how much I appreciate them for completing the tedious work that's asked of them over long hours with little sleep. They do a lot that's underappreciated, and I hope you guys are thanking your Master of Hounds for the efforts and hours they put in, not only at Autumn Oaks, but at a lot of the events you go through. Those folks are usually the first there and the last to leave, so be sure that you're appreciating them for what they do. This weekend we had Doug Cundiff, Tim Gilchrist, Curtis Sparks, Jamie Estep, and Brandon Scalf that were working events across our satellite clubs, and they're at the main building. And then we also had Wendell Bond, who would have been riding around on the golf cart and kind of policing the dog barns and making sure dogs had water and Obviously it wasn't very hot, but it just, if they needed some shade or got tangled up or whatever, he was kind of riding around doing that. So appreciate all that the field reps do for I want to say me, but for us personally, they're an awesome group of guys and some really good friends. So we've talked a lot about our bench show judges. I think we're good to kind of go past there. We've talked about our host clubs for warm-up slams through the week, Hannah's Creek and Delaware County. We haven't mentioned personally the host clubs for Autumn Oaks over the weekend. We have, of course, our home club there out of Richmond, Wayne County Coon Hunters Association. Appreciate those guys for drumming up some guide support for us and things like that. And then we have our 3 satellite clubs, Limberlost Coon Hunters Club in Bryan, Indiana, Van Wert County Coon Hunters Association in Convoy, Ohio, and then in their first year, Clark County Coon Hunters Club in Medway, Ohio. And I think they're really going to take off over the next couple of years. They got some really good hunting over there and some good hunters. So I could see us sending more casts over there over the next couple of years. So really appreciate their guide support and all they do. They're the lifeblood of this event and getting dogs in the woods, and appreciate that. Under that same token, I think we really need to appreciate the state of Indiana and Ohio, the landowners that gave us the opportunity to hunt on their places, state wildlife agencies. I know we did some, we hunted on some public lands and things like that, but getting us permits, making sure that we're safe and in the right areas. So without available land, there's not very many places in the country that could accommodate what we did this weekend better than what we have there around this area. So I appreciate everybody who had a helping hand in getting dogs to the wood this weekend.
Yeah, for sure. And Trevor, one of the folks that probably does more than about anybody else with this event, and that is you. So I want to make sure we get you added to that list as well. Appreciate everything you do for it and do so well, really, and it shows. So, and I think a lot of people notice that as well too. So you're just very good at a lot of things that you do with it. I know Friday night, we were scraping for a few more guides, this and that, and it can sometimes back there in the hunt office, it can kind of get to you a little bit, and I've been there too. And this Friday night was a little bit like that. We had plenty of guides in the grands, but we needed a few more otherwise, but sometimes you just got to get on the phone, and that's why it took a little bit longer on Friday night. But still, everything considered, man, just an awesome job again that you did putting this on. But I also want to give a shout out to all of the judges that helped judge and those landowners that allowed folks to hunt on their land and this and that. But man, just on behalf of all of UKC, just thanks to everybody that was involved this year. It was just another great event, another good Autumn Oaks. What is it, the 66th running?
Yeah, this year would have been the 66th annual.
Longest standing coonhound event, Autumn Oaks, the event where history is made. And it's probably time. Stuff is falling off the back of my wall here. Probably time to close out the show, Trevor.
While you're handling that, I'll go through these sponsors real quick. First off, Wayne County Fairgrounds, Brad and his team couldn't be more accommodating every year. Appreciate all the vendors who came out and set up. I thought we had an awesome, a diverse crowd. Man, the apparel and the hunting equipment is getting better and better. I don't know how they can get it better, and then they always one up themselves. It makes for people want to come shop there. It's the place where everybody's dropping their new thing, whether it's their new light or their new gear or their new shirts. And man, it makes Autumn Oaks that much more special. So we appreciate that. Thanks to the food vendors for coming out. We've been doing that for several years now, and a couple of those places are starting to build up some followers amongst our crowd who they can't wait to have their specific food every year. I know Curtis likes the twisted taters, so and I really quick want to talk about the sponsors. I've talked about them on my bulletin the past 2 weeks, but I'm going through them here in alphabetical order real quick. We've already mentioned Bad Habit Hunting Supply. Bright Eyes Lights does a ton for us throughout the year. Autumn Oaks is another event he supports. Coon Dog Wear, again, just one of our sponsors, period. Dan's Hunting Gear, all the jackets we get from him throughout the year. Dark 30 Hunting Supply, we gave out a lot of $100 certificates from Dark 30. Their first year set up there. I haven't talked to Drake Roberson since we've left, but I hope he had a good weekend there. Diamond Deluxe gave away a Diamond Deluxe to our national Grand Night champion, Nick Emmel, this year. Dog and Hunt Supply, their first year there, and they had a great thing, and threw all over my social media, so they just do an awesome job sharing stuff. Houndsman Advantage, Matt Lingo and his team there in our building with us, and then we had some cool content from them this weekend, and I appreciate all the effort that he puts into it, and appreciate our sponsorship from him and our partnership with him. Enjoy working with him. Kelly's K-Light, you talked about Sandra doing the National Dual Championship. She gave us 8 lights this weekend and also a thermal. So that's just one event throughout the year. So really appreciate Sandra and her sponsorship of us. Mule Brand Gear and Apparel, along with Okie Dog Supply. They've been supporters of UKC for as long as I've been around, and I know far before I got here. Outlaw Light Company, Alan Roberts and his team, couple lights there to some of our top night hunt winners. Owen Products, I saw I loaded myself 3 Owen dog boxes to put over in the show building. 3 of those folks took home new Owen boxes, so that's an awesome prize. Yoder Nylon, you talked about them. They're great supporters of our Grand 16 and have been for several years. And then Zeb's Coon Squallers, each member of our final cast got a new Zeb's Coon Squaller, as well as our National Dual Championship, National Dual Champions of Breed got new Zeb Squallers. And last but not least, Eukanuba, the official dog nutrition partner of UKC. And my last thing I have here, I hope I didn't miss anybody, but there's a ton of things going on. So whether you were there guiding judges, you're just there singing or cooking or cleaning up behind you, or just set up in the dog barn, or just came by to say, hey, thank you for being there. It's a holiday weekend. You took away from your vacation. So appreciate you being there at the 66th Annual Autumn Oaks. There's a ton of places for you to be. And yeah, you're right. The breed associations always have nice booths set up. And they're the first ones there with us on Sunday morning ready to hand out awards. And they're some of our biggest clappers there. There's not many people left on that Sunday morning. It's kind of lonely in there otherwise.
Yeah, no, just overall, just another great event. And, man, one to remember. The weather probably being the biggest thing. And it's – I think after a couple of years of having been so hot, or just, in the 90s, it was really, really nice to have cool temperatures in the highs in the low 70s. I did see one post, and I kind of had to chuckle a little bit, and I'm just going to be honest. Somebody's complaining about leaving their dogs out in the sun or whatever, and I'm thinking, okay, it was only 72 degrees. I think that's probably where they preferred to be. Right. I'll just say that. It's like it's perfectly fine. They're not being, that's just a cool 72 degrees. That was about the high.
Yeah. I say it's about similar to that today out here, and my dog's loose in the back. I got a fenced-in backyard, and he's loose out there, and there's plenty of shade, and there's a porch with mat, or you can sit on a mat or something, but he's out in the grass right in the sunlight. So I think they kind of like it out there.
Bingo.
So.
But anyways, exactly.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed this recap of our 2025 Autumn Oaks, and man, I hope you're making plans for next year. I know we've already had some conversations about what we can do different or better, and always trying to improve this thing. So if you have some feedback for us, let us know. And otherwise, man, World Championship coming up soon. We hope you guys got all entered up, and we hope to see you at the zones and maybe even the World Finals in Portland, Indiana here in a couple weeks.
Alan, you've been feeding Eukanuba dog feed for a while now. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I have, and I've really been able to put my beagles to the test, mainly running snowshoe hare up north where they run the hardest, where I put 15, 20, 25 miles on them easily in a day. And I've found that the premium performance sport has really paid dividends. Mainly, I noticed their stamina.
Yeah, same feed that I've been feeding. I think my dog looks good on it. He's really feeling good, and less kennel cleanup for me, so I highly recommend it as well.
Eukanuba, the official performance dog nutrition partner of UKC.
Thank you for listening to the UKC Hunting Ops Podcast. Be sure to give us a follow so you don't miss any of our new episodes or content.